Maya had always been the type of person who said yes to adventures. When her friends called her crazy, she just laughed. When her family worried about her choices, she reminded them that boring never got anyone anywhere interesting. But even Maya had to admit that her current living situation was probably her wildest decision yet. It all started 3 months ago when her previous roommate moved out suddenly. Maya was stuck with a 2-bedroom apartment and rent that was way too expensive. For one person, she posted an ad online, expecting the usual responses from college students or young professionals. Instead, she got a message from someone calling themselves Zix. The message was polite but strange. Zix explained they were an exchange student from very far away, studying local culture and customs. They offered to pay 6 months' rent upfront and promised to be the perfect roommate, quiet, clean, and respectful. The only odd thing was they insisted on meeting at night. Maya almost deleted the message. Something about it felt too good to be true, but her bank account was getting scary low, and she really needed someone reliable. So she agreed to meet. That first meeting still gave her goosebumps. When she thought about it, Zix showed up exactly on time, which was already a good sign. But when Maya opened the door, she had to blink twice to make sure she wasn't dreaming. The person standing in her doorway was tall and thin, probably around 6 feet. Their skin had this weird shimmer to it, like someone had mixed tiny bits of glitter into their makeup. But it wasn't makeup. Maya could tell right away that this was just how they looked naturally. Their eyes were bigger than normal human eyes, a deep green color that seemed to change in the light. "Hello," Zix had said in a voice that sounded perfectly normal, if a little formal. "I am Zix. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." Maya's brain was trying to process what she was seeing. This person definitely wasn't from around here. Way not from around here. But something about Zix's calm, friendly manner put her at ease. They weren't threatening or scary, just different. Hi, Maya had managed to say. "Come in." As they sat in her living room, Zix explained their situation. They were here to study human behavior and culture. They came from a place very far away, so far that Maya wouldn't even be able to see it with the strongest telescope. They were basically an exchange student, but from way further than any normal exchange program. The whole conversation felt surreal. Zix spoke English perfectly, but in this very proper, careful way that made Maya think they had learned it from textbooks. They asked thoughtful questions about human customs and seemed genuinely interested in learning. When Maya asked about references or a background check, Zix simply placed a small bag on the coffee table. Inside were what looked like gold coins, perfectly round and heavy. There were enough to cover 6 months of rent, utilities, and probably groceries too. "I understand this is unusual," Zix had said, watching Maya's surprised expression. "But I assure you, I'm trustworthy. I keep regular hours, I am very clean, and I will not cause any problems." Maya picked up one of the coins. It felt real, looked real, and definitely seemed valuable. Her practical side was screaming that this was too weird, but her adventurous side was winning. How many people get the chance to live with someone from another world? "Okay," she had said, surprising herself. "Let's try it." And so began the strangest 3 months of Maya's life, true to their word. Zix was the perfect roommate in almost every way. They kept their side of the apartment spotless. They never left dishes in the sink or forgot to replace the toilet paper. They even helped with groceries. Though their food choices were definitely unique, Zix seemed to live mostly on fruits and vegetables, but only specific types. They loved berries of any kind, especially the more unusual ones Maya had never heard of. They could eat regular food, but they preferred things that were very fresh and natural. Maya started shopping at farmers markets just to keep up with Zix's preferences. The most interesting part was how curious Zix was about everything. They asked questions about human behavior that Maya had never thought about before. Why do humans shake hands when they meet? Why do some people like loud music while others prefer quiet? Why do humans keep pets? Maya found herself looking at her own life differently as she tried to answer these questions. Things she had always taken for granted suddenly seemed worth thinking about. It was like having a conversation with someone who was seeing everything for the first time, which, Maya realized, was probably exactly what was happening. Zix was also surprisingly helpful around the apartment. They seemed to have a natural understanding of how things worked. The washing machine that had been making weird noises for months suddenly ran perfectly. After Zix looked at it, the plants that Maya could never keep alive were thriving under Zix's care. But there were definitely some strange habits. Zix didn't seem to sleep much, at least not like humans do. Maya would sometimes get up in the middle of the night for water and see Zix standing by the living room window, perfectly still, looking up at the sky. When she asked about it, Zix explained that they were connecting with home. Maya didn't push for more details. Everyone had their own way of dealing with being far from family. And if standing by the window helped Zix feel better, that was fine with her. The arrangement was working so well that Maya had started to forget how unusual it was. Zix was just her roommate who happened to be from somewhere very far away. They watched movies together, though Zix always had fascinating questions about why humans told stories the way they did. They cooked together sometimes, with Zix teaching Maya about combinations of food she never would have thought to try. Maya's friends were curious about her mysterious new roommate, but Zix was always polite when they visited. They seemed genuinely interested in meeting new people and learning about different personalities. Everyone who met Zix came away saying they were interesting and really nice, though Maya could tell they all thought there was something unusual about her roommate. 3 months in, Maya was starting to think this might be the best roommate situation she'd ever had. Zix was reliable, respectful, and actually fun to live with. The rent was always paid on time, the apartment stayed clean, and Maya was learning new things about life and herself every day. She should have known that living with someone from another world wouldn't stay simple forever. Maya had always been a light sleeper, but lately she'd been sleeping better than ever. Maybe it was because the apartment felt more secure with Zix around. Or maybe it was just the comfort of having someone reliable sharing the space. Either way, she usually slept straight through the night without any problems. That's why waking up at 3:17 a.m. felt so jarring. Maya's eyes snapped open like someone had flipped a switch in her brain. For a moment, she lay there in the darkness, trying to figure out what had woken her up. The apartment was quiet, just like always. No strange sounds from the street outside, no neighbors being loud, nothing obvious. But something felt different. The air in her room had this weird quality to it, like the feeling you get right before a big thunderstorm hits. That electric, charged feeling that makes your skin tingle. Slightly, Maya had felt it before during summer storms, but never inside her bedroom in the middle of the night. She was about to roll over and go back to sleep when she realized she wasn't alone. There was definitely someone sitting on the edge of her bed. Maya's heart started beating faster as her eyes adjusted to the dim light. Coming through her curtains, she could make out a tall, thin figure sitting perfectly still, facing toward the window. The silhouette was unmistakable. It was Zix, Maya's. First thought was confusion. In all the months they'd been living together, Zix had never come into her room without permission. They were always very respectful about personal space and privacy. This was completely out of character. Her second thought was concern. Was Zix okay? Were they having some kind of problem or emergency? Zix? Maya whispered, trying to keep her voice quiet but clear. No response. Zix didn't move at all, didn't even seem to hear her. They just sat there, statue still, looking out the window. Maya could see their profile in the faint light, and something was definitely different about their appearance. Maya propped herself up on her elbow to get a better look. That's when she noticed the soft glow. Zix's skin, which normally had just that subtle shimmer during the day, was now giving off a gentle blue light. It wasn't bright or harsh, more like the glow of those night lights people put in bathrooms. But it was definitely there, and it was definitely not normal. The strangest part was how peaceful Zix looked, even though Maya was startled to find them in her room. There was nothing threatening about their presence. They seemed completely lost in whatever they were doing, totally focused on something outside the window that Maya couldn't see. Maya tried whispering Zix's name again, a little Louder this time. Still no response. It was like they were in some kind of trance or deep meditation. Maya had seen Zix standing by the living room window late at night before, but this felt different. More intense somehow. As she watched, Maya started to notice other things. There was a very faint humming sound, so quiet she almost missed it. It seemed to be coming from Zix themselves, like they were vibrating at a frequency just barely within human hearing. The blue glow was pulsing slightly, getting a tiny bit brighter and then dimmer in a slow, steady rhythm. Maya's mind was racing through possibilities. Was this some kind of alien sleepwalking? Were they sick? Having some kind of episode she didn't understand? She'd never seen anything like this before, and she had no idea what to do. Part of her wanted to shake Zix awake, but something held her back. They looked so peaceful, so focused, that interrupting seemed wrong somehow. But lying there with her roommate glowing softly on the edge of her bed was definitely not a normal Tuesday night situation. Maya carefully reached for her phone on the nightstand, moving slowly so she wouldn't disturb whatever was happening. She wasn't sure if she should call someone for help or maybe record what she was seeing. Who would she even call? The hospital? The police? Hi, my alien roommate is glowing in my bedroom wasn't exactly a typical emergency call. As her fingers touched her phone, Maya realized she could see more details in Zix's glow. Their face looked different somehow, more serene than she'd ever seen it, but also sad. There was something deeply melancholy about their expression, like they were experiencing a beautiful but painful memory. The blue light seemed to be coming from just under their skin, like they had tiny stars scattered throughout their body that were all shining at once. It was actually quite beautiful, even though it was completely unexpected and more than a little unsettling. Maya found herself holding her breath, not wanting to break whatever spell Zix was under. She'd gotten used to her roommate's unusual habits over the past few months, but this was on a completely different level. This felt important somehow, like she was witnessing something private and significant. Minutes ticked by. Maya's phone showed 3:23, then 3:28, then 3:35. Zix hadn't moved even slightly. The humming continued, soft and constant. The glow remained steady, pulsing gently like a slow heartbeat made of light. Maya started to wonder if she should be worried. How long had Zix been sitting there before she woke up? Were they stuck in this state somehow? What if something was wrong and they needed help? But even as these thoughts ran through her mind, Maya found herself oddly calm. Despite the strangeness of the situation, Zix's presence didn't feel dangerous or wrong. It felt sad, yes, and mysterious, but not threatening. If anything, there was something deeply peaceful about the whole scene. The longer Maya watched, the more she started to feel like she was seeing something sacred. This wasn't just weird roommate behavior. This was something much more personal and meaningful. She was getting a glimpse into a part of Zix's life that they'd never shared before, something that went beyond their polite daily interactions and curious questions about human culture. Maya made a decision. Instead of trying to wake Zix up or calling for help, she would wait. She would give her roommate space to finish whatever this was, and then maybe they could talk about it. After 3 months of living together, she trusted that Zix wasn't doing anything that would hurt either of them. She settled back into her pillow, keeping her eyes on Zix's glowing figure. Whatever was happening, Maya had the feeling that this night was going to change everything between them. The comfortable, simple roommate relationship they built was about to become something much more complicated and profound. And for the first time since finding Zix on her bed, Maya realized she was actually looking forward to finding out what came next. Maya had been lying there for what felt like hours, watching Zix's glowing figure and listening to that soft humming sound. Her phone showed 3:42 a.m., which meant she'd been awake for over 20 minutes. The whole situation felt like a dream, but the cool air in her room and the steady pulse of blue light from her roommate proved it was very real. She was starting to get used to the strange scene when something changed. Maya had been so focused on Zix's stillness that she almost missed it when they began to move. It was subtle at first, just a slight shift in their shoulders, like someone slowly waking up from a deep sleep. Then Zix turned their head, Maya's breath caught in her throat as Zix looked directly at her. Their eyes, which were already larger than normal human eyes, now had that same soft blue glow as their skin. But there was nothing scary or alien about their expression. Instead, Maya saw something that surprised her completely. Zix looked incredibly sad. It wasn't just regular sadness either. This was the kind of deep, aching loneliness that Maya recognized from her own worst days. The kind of pain that came from missing home so badly that it felt like a physical hurt. In your chest, I apologize, Maya, Zix said quietly, their voice carrying a strange musical quality that Maya had never heard before. I did not mean to disturb your sleep. I was experiencing what you might call homesickness. Maya sat up slowly, pulling her blanket around her shoulders. The blue glow was starting to fade now that Zix was speaking, but their skin still had that ethereal shimmer. Homesickness, she repeated softly. Zix nodded, their expression still carrying that deep sadness. Today marks exactly 1 Earth years since I left my home world. My people have a tradition. We call it stellar communion. Once each month, we connect with the energy of our home star to feel close to our families and our world. Maya felt her heart squeezed with sympathy. She'd never thought about how lonely Zix might be, so far from everything they knew. But why are you in my room? I mean, I'm not upset or anything, but you usually do your window thing in the living room. For the first time since Maya had known them, Zix looked embarrassed. The blue glow flickered slightly, like a candle in a breeze. Your bedroom window faces the exact direction of my home star system. From this angle, at this time of night, I can feel the faintest trace of home energy. It is comforting. Maya looked toward her window, trying to see what Zix could see. All she could make out were the usual stars and the glow of the city lights. But for Zix, apparently, her bedroom was the closest thing to home they could find. On Earth, I should have asked permission, Zix continued, starting to stand up. It was wrong of me to enter your private space without invitation. I will return to my room. Wait, Maya said, surprising herself, something about the defeated way Zix was moving. The sadness in their glowing eyes made her chest tight with empathy. Don't go. Zix paused, looking uncertain. I have violated your boundaries. Among humans, this is considered very inappropriate behavior. Maya scooted over on her bed, making room. Maybe usually, yeah, but this isn't a usual situation. Is it? She patted the space beside her. Stay. Tell me about your home. The surprise on Zix's face was so genuine and grateful that Maya knew she'd made the right choice. Zix hesitated for a moment, then carefully sat back down on the edge of the bed, maintaining a respectful distance. You truly do not mind? Zix asked, their voice softer now, more vulnerable than Maya had ever heard it. I don't mind, Maya said honestly. I mean, finding you glowing on my bed was definitely a shock. But you're not doing anything wrong. You're just missing your family, right? I get that. Zix's glow brightened slightly, and Maya realized it wasn't just about their alien nature. It was connected to their emotions somehow. When they were sad, the light dimmed. When they felt hopeful or grateful, it got brighter. My world is very different from Earth, Zix began, settling more comfortably. On the bed, we have cities made of crystal that sing when the wind blows through them. The oceans are purple and filled with creatures that glow like tiny stars. During the day, we have the suns, so everything is always warm and bright. Maya found herself leaning forward, fascinated. The suns? That must be amazing. It is beautiful, Zix agreed, their voice taking on a dreamy quality. But the nights are what I miss most. We have 7 moons, each a different color. When they're all visible at once, the sky looks like a rainbow made of light. My family and I used to sit on our roof terrace and watch the moons dance across the sky. As Zix spoke, Maya could almost picture it, the crystal cities, the purple oceans, the rainbow sky. But more than that, she could hear the love in Zix's voice when they talked about their family. What are they like, your family? Maya asked, Zix's expression softened even more. My parents are both explorers and scientists. They encouraged me to come here even though they knew how difficult it would be. My younger sibling wanted to come too, but they are not old enough yet. They made me promise to learn everything I could about Earth and humans so I could teach them when I return. Do you have pictures of them, or whatever you call pictures where you're from? Zix looked puzzled for a moment, then understanding crossed their face. We do not capture images the way humans do, but we can share memories directly, mind to mind. Would you like to experience what my home looks like? Maya felt a little thrill of excitement mixed with nervousness. Is that safe? I mean, I'm just human. It is perfectly safe, Zix assured her. I would only share visual memories, nothing deeper. It would be like watching one of your movies, but more vivid. Maya found herself nodding before she really thought about it. Okay? Yeah, I'd love to see your home. Zix moved closer, still careful to respect Maya's space. May I place my hand on your forehead? The connection requires touch. Go ahead, Maya said, her heart beating faster with anticipation. When Zix's cool fingers touched her forehead, Maya gasped. Suddenly she could see crystal spires reaching toward a sky with two blazing suns. Purple waves crashed against shores of silver sand. And overhead, 7 moons in different colors painted everything in soft, magical light, but more than the sights. Maya could feel what Zix felt, the peace of sitting with loved ones, the joy of discovery, the security of belonging somewhere completely. And underneath it all, the sharp ache of missing all of that so badly it hurt. When the connection ended, Maya found tears in her eyes. Oh, Zix. No wonder you're homesick. It's beautiful. Thank you, Zix said quietly. I have not been able to share that with anyone since arriving here. It helps to have someone understand. Maya wiped her eyes and looked at her roommate, really looked at them. The blue glow had returned. But now she understood what it meant. It wasn't alien and strange. It was Zix's way of reaching for home, of trying to feel connected to the family and world they loved so much. You know, Maya said softly, I moved here from across the country. Obviously not as far as you came, but I remember those first few months. I missed my family so much I could barely eat. I used to call my mom crying every other day. Zix turned to look at her with surprise. You experienced similar feelings? Yeah, I did. Homesickness is homesickness, whether home is a few states away or a few galaxies away. Maya smiled. I guess we have more in common than I thought. For the first time since Maya had known them, Zix smiled back, a real, genuine smile that made their whole face light up. And in that moment, Maya realized that their relationship had just shifted into something completely new. They weren't just roommates anymore. They were friends who truly understood each other. After sharing that moment of understanding, Maya expected Zix to return to their own room. That would have been the normal thing to do. They'd had their emotional conversation, shared their feelings, and now it was time to go back to their separate spaces. But as Zix started to move away from the bed, Maya found herself doing something completely unexpected. Wait, she said, scooting over to make more room. You don't have to go. I mean, if being here helps you feel closer to home, then stay. Zix looked genuinely surprised. You would not mind sharing your sleeping space? This is not considered strange among humans. Maya laughed softly. Okay, yes, it's definitely strange. But everything about this situation is strange, right? Besides, you're not a creepy roommate trying to be weird. You're just someone who misses their family. That's totally different. The gratitude in Zix's eyes made Maya's decision feel absolutely right. They carefully settled back onto the bed, still maintaining a respectful distance, but clearly relieved not to have to leave. Tell me more about your family, Maya said, pulling her pillow up against the headboard so she could sit more comfortably. What's your sibling like? Zix's face lit up with that soft blue glow again, but this time it felt warm and happy instead of sad. Kira is wonderful. They are curious about everything, always asking questions and wanting to explore new places. When I told them I was coming to Earth, they made me promise to bring back stories about human customs and behaviors. Kira sounds like they'd fit right in here, Maya said. What kind of stories have you been collecting? For the next hour, They talked about the differences between their worlds. Zix shared stories about their crystalline cities and the way there. People communicated through light patterns as well as words. Maya told Zix about human traditions that probably seemed just as strange to them. Birthday parties, wedding ceremonies, the way people got emotional over sports teams. The thing I find most fascinating about humans, Zix said thoughtfully, is how you form connections with people who are not related to you. On my world, we typically bond only with family members and a few close neighbors. But humans create friendships with strangers, form communities with people from completely different backgrounds. Maya considered this. I guess we do that because we need it. Humans are social creatures. We get lonely really easily if we're by ourselves too much. Maybe that's why I was okay with you moving in even though you're obviously not from around here. I needed a connection too. You were lonely before I arrived, Zix asked, turning to look at her more directly. Yeah, definitely. My last roommate was nice enough, but we never really talked. They did their thing, I did mine, and we just shared the rent. It was fine, but it wasn't really friendship, you know? With you, it's different. You actually care about understanding things. You ask questions that make me think. Zix was quiet for a moment, processing this. I did not realize that my presence was providing you with emotional benefits as well. I assumed I was simply a convenient source of rent money. Are you kidding? Maya laughed. Zix, you're the most interesting roommate I've ever had. Even before tonight, living with you has been like getting a completely new perspective on everything. You notice stuff that I never paid attention to before. As they continued talking, something strange started happening. Maya began to notice details outside her window that she'd never seen before. The stars seemed brighter somehow, more distinct. She could make out patterns in the sky that had always just looked like random dots of light. Zix, she said slowly, are you doing something to my vision? Because I'm seeing stars that I'm pretty sure weren't there before. Zix looked surprised, then thoughtful. I'm not intentionally affecting your sight, but it is possible that my presence is enhancing your perception slightly. When my people connect with others, sometimes there is a sharing of abilities. That's amazing. Maya breathed, staring up at the suddenly vivid night sky. I can see so much more than usual. And I, Zix said quietly, feel more grounded than I have since arriving on Earth. Your emotional stability is helping me feel less displaced. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, both looking out the window at the stars. Maya found herself thinking about how crazy this whole situation was. 6 hours ago, she'd been living a completely normal life with her polite, unusual roommate. Now she was sharing her bed with someone from another galaxy, seeing stars she'd never noticed before, and feeling more connected to another being than she had in years. Can I ask you something? Maya said eventually. Of course. Do you ever regret coming here? I mean, being so far from your family and everything, you know? Zix considered the question seriously. There are moments when the loneliness feels overwhelming. Tonight was one of those moments, but no, I do not regret it. This experience is teaching me things about myself and about the universe that I could never have learned at home. Like what? Like the fact that connection and understanding can happen between any two beings, regardless of how different they might seem on the surface. Before tonight, I thought I was simply observing human behavior from the outside. Now I realize I have actually formed a genuine friendship with a human. That is something my people have never experienced before. Maya felt a warm flutter in her chest. So I'm like your first human friend? You are my first friend of any species outside my own family, Zix admitted. On my world, relationships develop very slowly and formally. This kind of immediate emotional connection is completely new to me. Well, you're definitely my first alien friend, Maya said with a grin. I'd say that makes us pretty special. As the hours passed, they shared more stories, more perspectives, more moments of understanding. Maya learned about Zix's fears and hopes for their time on Earth. Zix learned about Maya's dreams and the reason she'd chosen to live in the city, so far from her own family, somewhere around 5 in the morning. Maya realized that the blue glow around Zix had changed. It was still there, but it felt different now, Less sad and desperate, more peaceful and content. You look better, she observed, more settled. I feel better, Zix confirmed. The connection to my home star is still there, but now it does not feel like the only thing anchoring me. I have a connection here as well. Maya smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Good, because I have to say, having you here feels right. Not just as a roommate, but as a friend. I feel the same way, Zix said softly. I believe tonight has changed both of our lives in ways we do not yet fully understand. As the first hints of dawn started to lighten the sky, Maya realized that Zix was absolutely right. This night had transformed their polite roommate relationship into something much deeper and more meaningful. They found in each other exactly what they'd both been missing: genuine understanding, acceptance, and friendship that transcended any differences between them. And the best part was, Maya had a feeling this was just the beginning. If one night could bring them this close, she couldn't wait to see what other adventures their friendship might bring. When Maya woke up the next morning, her first thought was that she'd had the most vivid dream of her life. Then she rolled over and saw the slight depression in the mattress, where someone had been sitting, and she remembered it hadn't been a dream at all. Zix was already up, as usual. Maya could hear them moving around in the kitchen, probably making that weird herbal tea they liked. But something felt different about the apartment. The air seemed lighter somehow, more comfortable. Even the morning sunlight streaming through her window looked brighter and more welcoming. Maya got dressed and wandered out to the kitchen, not entirely sure how to act after their incredible conversation the night before. Should she pretend it never happened? Should she bring it up immediately? She'd never navigated a friendship that had deepened so dramatically in just a few hours. "Good morning, Maya," Zix said, looking up from their tea with a warm smile. "I hope you slept well after our conversation." The genuine warmth in Zix's voice immediately put Maya at ease. This wasn't going to be awkward, it was just going to be different. Better different. "I slept great, actually," Maya said, pouring herself coffee. "How are you feeling, after everything last night?" "Much better," Zix replied. And Maya could see it was true. The sadness that had been lingering around Zix for weeks was mostly gone, replaced by something more peaceful and content. "I feel more at home here than I have since I arrived." Over breakfast, they talked about normal roommate stuff, grocery shopping, utility bills, who was going to clean the bathroom that week. But underneath the ordinary conversation, Maya could feel the new depth to their relationship. They weren't just people sharing an apartment anymore. They were friends who truly understood each other. That evening, Maya found herself looking forward to bedtime in a way she never had before. Not because she was tired, but because she was curious to see if Zix would come back to her room for their stellar communion. Sure enough, around midnight, Maya heard a soft knock on her bedroom door. "Come in," she called softly. Zix entered, looking a bit uncertain. "I hope it is acceptable for me to ask, but would you mind if I perform my monthly ritual in your room again?" "I promise to be quieter this time." Maya patted the spot on her bed where Zix had sat the night before. "Of course, actually, I was hoping you would, this time." Maya stayed awake for the entire ritual. She watched as Zix settled into their meditative state, their skin beginning to glow with that soft blue light. But now that she understood what was happening, it didn't seem strange or scary. It seemed beautiful and meaningful. As the weeks went by, their nighttime ritual became a regular thing. Maya would make room on her bed, and Zix would sit by the window, connecting with their home star while Maya kept them company. Sometimes they talked quietly during the ritual. Other times, Maya would simply watch and feel grateful to be part of something so personal and important. But the changes in their relationship went far beyond their midnight conversations. During the day, Zix started asking Maya if she wanted to join them for their evening stargazing sessions. Maya discovered that with Zix's help, she could see patterns and movements in the night sky that most humans never noticed. Maya also started inviting Zix to more social activities. At first, her friends were curious about her mysterious roommate, who seemed to have such unique perspectives on everything. but Zix's genuine interest in learning about human culture and their thoughtful questions about social interactions quickly won everyone over. Your friend Zix is fascinating, Maya's friend Jordan said after a dinner party where Zix had spent an hour discussing the psychology behind human humor. They have this way of making you think about things you've never questioned before. They ask the best questions, agreed Lisa, another friend, like, why do humans clink glasses when we make a toast? I never thought about that before, but now I'm genuinely curious about the history behind it. Maya just smiled, proud of how well Zix was fitting into her social circle. Watching her alien roommate navigate human friendships was like seeing her own world through completely fresh eyes. The most surprising change came about a month after their first midnight conversation. Maya was having a particularly stressful day at work, dealing with a difficult project and an unreasonable deadline. She came home exhausted and frustrated, just wanting to collapse on the couch and forget about everything. Zix took one look at her and immediately went into what Maya could only describe as caretaker mode. They made Maya her favorite tea, ordered food from her favorite restaurant, and even figured out how to work the TV to put on Maya's comfort shows. You don't have to take care of me, Maya protested, but she was secretly touched by Zix's thoughtfulness. Friends support each other during difficult times, Zix replied simply, on my world. When someone in our community is struggling, we all work together to help them feel better. I want to do the same for you. That's when Maya realized just how much their relationship had evolved. They weren't just friends now. They had become each other's chosen family. Zix was the person Maya wanted to share good news with. The person she called when she needed advice. The person who made her laugh when she was feeling down. And she could see that she provided the same kind of support for Zix. When Zix had questions about human customs, or felt overwhelmed by Earth's complexity, Maya was there to help them navigate. Their friends started referring to them as Maya and Zix, like they were a package deal. Which, Maya realized, they kind of were. They had become such close friends that it was hard to imagine one without the other. About 3 months after their first midnight conversation, Maya's mother called to check in. During their chat, her mom asked about the roommate situation. Oh, Zix is amazing, Maya said without thinking. They're probably the best friend I've ever had. That's wonderful, honey. I'm so glad you found someone you connect with. What do they do for work? Maya paused, realizing she'd never really explained Zix's situation to her family. They're kind of an exchange student from really far away. They're here studying human culture and customs. How interesting. You'll have to bring them home for the holidays so we can meet them. Maya found herself genuinely excited by that idea. I think they'd love that. They're always asking questions about family traditions and holiday celebrations. After hanging up, Maya realized something important had shifted in her thinking. Somewhere along the way, she'd stopped seeing Zix as her alien roommate and started seeing them simply as her best friend, who happened to be from another world. That night, as they sat together looking out at the stars, Maya brought up her mother's invitation. Would you be interested in meeting my family? She asked. I think they'd really like you. Zix's face lit up with that warm blue glow that Maya had learned meant they were happy. I would be honored to meet the people who raised you, though. I should probably prepare them for my appearance beforehand. Actually, Maya said thoughtfully, I think my family will be fine with you exactly as you are. They raised me to be open-minded, after all. Besides, anyone who can make me this happy is automatically going to be welcomed with open arms. As they continued their stargazing, Maya reflected on how much her life had changed since that first night when she'd woken up to find Zix glowing on her bed. What had started as a shocking discovery had turned into the most meaningful friendship of her life. She learned that home wasn't just a place, it was the people who understood and accepted you completely. And she discovered that the most important connections could happen between any two beings. No matter how different they might seem on the surface, looking at Zix now, peacefully connected to their distant home while also being fully present with Maya, she knew that their friendship had taught them both something precious. They learned that you could honor where you came from while still building a new life in a new place. Most importantly, They'd learned that the universe was full of possibilities for connection and understanding, if you were brave enough to stay open to them. Maya smiled as she watched the stars twinkle overhead, grateful for that night when everything changed and excited to see what other adventures their friendship would bring.